Hi everyone, my name is Cassandra Ballantyne, editor of DPS Magazine. Welcome to today's webinar, which will focus on web to print. The world of web to print continues to evolve, further entrenching its necessity for today's B2B and B2C print providers. Our October issue, which should be hitting the streets in the next couple of days, highlights web to print with a focus on integrated design capabilities. We're going to talk about this and more in today's webinar. I'm going to start by introducing the panelists. So first up, we have Alex with Customers Canvas.
Yeah, so it's my part, right? Thanks, Cassandra. I'm here representing Rigma company, as you mentioned. We develop a web-to-print platform by the name of Customers Canvas. It serves as a gateway for print businesses to explore the digital sales channels. Customers Canvas helps printers to build an online ordering process for print products, promotional goods, or packaging. It can be integrated with both standard e-commerce platforms like Shopify or Magento, or with a custom-made online storefront. Our platform includes a cloud admin panel to store all product information, and easy-to-use online editors, and a robust rendering engine that converts design data into print-ready files. Besides providing the technology and a user-friendly backend to manage the integration, we also offer professional services to assist our clients in finding the most effective solution for their business needs, aiming at reducing time to market and achieving the best return on investment. Glad to be here and look forward to a meaningful talk.
Thank you, Alex. Next up, I want to introduce Greg Salzman with Alliant, or I don't know if I said that wrong again.
That's all right. Thank you, Cassandra. My name's Greg Salzman. I'm the CEO of Alliant Systems. It's a pleasure to be here. We are a software company. We've been serving the printing industry for 18 years now. We have 4 products. We have Procero, which is our web-to-print storefront system. With Procero, you can create both B2B and B2C storefronts. We have eDoc Builder, which is a document personalization system, so you can allow your customers to design documents within their web browser. We have Print Job Manager, which is a web-based, real easy-to-use print MIS and estimating platform. And we have T-Flow, which is a pre-press workflow automation platform. With T-Flow, you can do a lot of things like pre-flight and fix files. So all of our tools run in the cloud. We offer all of our software on a subscription basis, so you're paying monthly. So we have a real emphasis on keeping our software very affordable, and we do an awful lot of support. So we want to really look at ourselves as your partner, and that's how we want you to view us, and we want to make you successful. That's how we look at ourselves.
Thank you, Greg. Next up, we have Trent with On Print Shop.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, and Cassandra, always great to be a part of your webinars. We appreciate the fact that we've been invited. So my name's Trent Foreman. I'm the regional manager for North America for On Print Shop. So who we are, we're a web-to-print and order management platform. And as a 23-year development company that understands the print industry, we've brought some of the best, most expansive functionality into a very extremely usable and versatile cloud-based platform that has the ability to be customized to meet your needs while providing that very modern customer experience. So our goal, much like what you're going to hear a lot of my counterparts here, is to help simplify the order capture process. We want to help reduce your operational costs, build those efficiencies through integrations and interfaces, and really help your business grow by trying to capture those new segments, those new customers, both in a consumer-based B2C model or in those private B2B stores. So we're here to talk. We're here to help you, and look forward to what we have to talk about today.
Thank you, Trent. Next up, we have Chris with Infigo.
Thanks, Cassandra. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris from Infigo. I'm the head of global marketing here in the UK. Infigo is a leading provider of web-to-print software solutions for print, labels, and packaging. We pride ourselves with our industry knowledge, our extensive integrations, and an amazing partner network, which allows us to bring both online revenue and also bring revenue offline within the factory and the workflow. Our SaaS-based solution is scalable and allows our customers to generate both B2B and B2C storefronts ready for online and, believe it or not, ready to take transaction in a matter of minutes. We're privately owned. We operate a multinational team with many years of industry experience, and we have a plethora of modules and integrations and plugins, but we pride ourselves on putting the right tailor-made solution together to match the business that we're talking to. Thank you, and looking forward to working with you guys tonight.
Thank you, Chris. Let's see. So now we're going to start the discussion. When we first started talking about web to print, like more than a decade ago, we focused a lot on storefronts and ordering. These tools continue to evolve, and there's many different aspects of it. For this webinar, we're going to talk about design aspects of it in particular, and we'll go a little bit beyond that, but for the most part, that's where we'll land. So Alex, in 2022, Customer Canvas released its Simple Editor. Can you tell me a little bit about this product and why it was added to your product line and how it has been received and utilized over the past year?
So our debut in 2014, we've provided our customers with a WYSIWYG online editor. However, the feedback highlighted the need for a simpler alternative in certain situations. Thus, the Simple Editor was born. This tool enables end users to select product attributes and design content without interacting with Canvas, which is applicable in many B2B scenarios. Plus, it's also mobile friendly. This new editor is not only more simplistic for the end users, but also a breeze to implement by the storefront owners. There is no complicated setup process. The editor self-configures, which means products can get to market faster. The reception for the new editor from our clients has been quite positive so far. As I touched on earlier, our aim is to support our clients in crafting the most effective ordering process. And Simple Editor is a valuable addition to our toolkit, enable more tailored user experience to meet diverse requirements. It's all about making the digital ordering journey as intuitive and efficient as possible. And we believe that the Simple Editor is a significant stride in that direction.
Thank you, Alex. Of course, Customer Canvas isn't alone in its design capabilities. Alliant often touts its eDoc Builder, which is, I believe, offered as a cloud-based solution for integration into e-commerce storefronts or included as part of its Presario web to print. So, Greg, can you talk more about eDoc Builder and its integration capabilities?
Absolutely. So, historically, eDoc Builder, which again is this online document personalization tool, was just part of Presario. And what happened is we had a lot of companies calling and saying, I don't need the storefront. I already have my own storefront system. I just need that personalization tool. And so at some point along the line, we actually kind of broke that out and repositioned it as a separate product. So as you alluded to, Cassandra, anyone who purchases Presario does get eDoc Builder included, but we have a number of customers that just come to us and they only license eDoc Builder. And there's a couple ways to get it. We do have, there's other software solutions within the printing industry. They license it, and so you can get it as part of those solutions. The other alternatives come directly to us. And, there's going to be a little bit of software development work to integrate it. We have, a couple different models. We take what's called an API first development model so that, almost anything that happens, through the user interface can also be replicated through an API. That can get very complicated. We also have a much simpler approach, which is done by just kind of invoking kind of like a widget within your storefront, where you can just kind of open up the design experience. Your customer can do that, and then when they're done, it closes. It passes information back to your storefront, and then later when they've checked out, that's when your storefront would then go and hit an API command to pull the print ready file out, that you could go ahead and do some printing with. Either way, just to be transparent, there is going to be some development work associated with that, but it's something that we see happen routinely with lots of different printing companies. It's something very feasible, and again, something we're ready to help you out with.
Thank you, Greg. In addition to design and editing capabilities, we want to talk about proofing a little bit. In fact, when it comes to print order management, artwork approval can take a lot of time and emails. On Print Shop's design proofing software for artwork projects is meant to help print providers save time on proofing an artwork approval. So Trent, can you tell me a little bit more about how proofing is streamlined with tools like on Print Shop's collaborative artwork proofing software?
Okay, so Cassandra, you're an editor. How many times a week do you ask the question, is the proof approved? Where's the artwork? So I mean, that's it's an everyday phrase in every print shop, basically across the country, marketing departments, everybody, who's got the proof. I mean, it can be in one of 15 different places, 100 different places. So what happened with us is roughly about 6 years ago, we had one of our customers, who actually is a customer that specializes in funeral programs, sit down and kind of talk to us about the fact of just the amount of back and forth that they would have to do with family members, with the funeral homes, to make sure is the design right, the pictures right, did we get the right, all the family members, everything. And it involved a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, notes, different files with different designers, all of that just kind of based off on who worked around it. And depending on who worked on it, it could be in a different place. And if that designer was on vacation, we all know the story. So it was really bogging them down. So what we did is we sat down and worked with them and helped to develop a level of functionality that allowed them to really bring all of that inside of On Print Shop in the platform and let them manage not only that back and forth communication, but the notes, the revisions, the discussion, all in one place. And so, by adding for On Print Shop, you add the design proofing tool. What we've seen is a reduction in communication by what could be up to 50%, because it's collaborative. It's not necessarily dependent upon a single point of contact. Your whole staff's there, your whole team's there. If someone's on vacation, you can still see what's going on inside of that, inside of that order with that proof. You can see the notes, you can see the revisions, and the most important part, and you can get alerted on this, is you can see the approval. So you know that it's ready to go. Customers can be notified when a revision or a new file is sent down. It can be viewed, it can be managed. If the file comes in and needs to be changed, if they send you a file in Corel Draw or that's not sized appropriately and they say they go ahead and push it through anyway, you make the revision and you send it back and say, hey, I just need you to proof this. All of that can be done and tracked as you go back and forth. So, this really helps, especially when you have, multiple art files inside of a job, what's approved, what's not. It makes it real easy to work with the customer. What I really like about this is it's a good example of how something that started really as a custom workflow development, maybe for one of our larger customers, has been migrated into the overall platform. So it's a part of the order management and On Print Shop platform. It's available to all the subscribers. So for a small print shop, this can save a ton of time and a ton of effort. And what typically we've seen or can be seen as causing some of the biggest delays is just simply, is the artwork correct? Well, I can't start printing, or heaven forbid, you printed it wrong and now you have to reprint it. So that's where the design proofing tool comes into play and really allows you to, bring all of that information and communication back into one single point of the platform.
All right, thanks, Trent. So designing and proofing applications is part of the puzzle. I also want to talk about storefronts. Companies like Infigo offer content management tools that enable users to build professional ePrint web pages ready to start taking online orders in hours. Chris, can you talk more about the features and functions available to print providers that want to create custom storefronts?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Cassandra. First of all, it's minutes, not hours, but we can go over that one later. I think let's go back a few steps. First of all, we've been through a seismic change in with the COVID and coming out the other side. And what we've seen is the society and expectation now requires us as web to print providers to offer more for our customers and our customers' customers. So we're in a world now where everybody is expecting the Amazon experience coming out of COVID, coming out of lockdowns. We've also seen, especially in America as well, a lot more startups with online businesses. And therefore, there's a pressure on web to print providers now to be more than just web to print. And I'll go into a bit more detail in a second on what that means and what that entails. But I think also there's an opportunity as well, and we should look at the positives that COVID has given the web to print space as well, where we're now front and center and have an amazing opportunity to help the print industry grow and thrive. Since we've come out of those lockdowns and that COVID time, the technology and the opportunities available to us in our software, in our offering, has just absolutely jumped, light speed, and that's exciting. We're now seeing, and as Trent just mentioned, pre-flighting is now something that is standard, or should be standard, in every web to print workflow, whether it's a B2C or B2B storefront. We're seeing 3D previews, so we're seeing that especially in Figo with our labeling and with the beer market, the craft beers, the coffees. We're seeing 3D previews now, something that the consumer wants to see, and even some of the B2B customers as well also would like to see a visual 3D preview, as well as the pre-flighting kind of functionality as part of their journey. We're also seeing packaging, and again in America, North America and Canada, the packaging industry is a very exciting place to be right now. And there's a parametric side of the designer coming in. We've also got AI, a lot more intelligence starting to come into how our software can work. What does this all mean? Well, this is all going to help us with that Amazon experience, because before COVID, we probably just would have thought about the front end, taking the order, taking the money, banking those dollars. Whereas now, I think we're slowly, all of us are taking on this journey where we're learning about, well, what happens once that artwork's been pre-flighted, as Trent was just explaining. Where does that then go? Where does that information then go upstream? And what comes back to the end user? And I think it's not just a case of, are we providing a B2B or a B2C, but we're now providing both B2B, both B2C to the same customer, because they now need to be looking at their existing customer base, their B2B customers, and keeping them sticky, keep making them feel sort of safe and loved, and giving them what they need on a regular basis, but also then to diversify as well. And we've seen the growth of the labels market. So now we're seeing that our web to print platforms, our storefronts, are now offering multiple verticals. So I think it's a very exciting time. I think there's so much technology out there for us all. We have obviously a pressure to deliver, as I say, the Amazon experience, but also we are leading the charge, and we have a massive opportunity.
Thank you, Chris. I'm just going to add everyone back out to the stage now, because the second part of the webinar will make it a little bit more conversational, since we had a chance to kind of dig into each one of your options a little bit. So for the next question, as e-commerce environments offer more functionality, it gets complicated to manage all of these digital assets and/or products. Today's web to print systems offer anything to help manage and streamline the process, making it easy for print providers to offer and manage a variety of products through their e-commerce platform. Alex, do you want to start this question off for us? Oh, you're on mute though. It always happens to somebody, usually me.
Yeah, that's it's me that time. Yes, sure, Cassandra. Thanks. That's a great question, actually. The thing is that managing product catalog is probably one of the most labor-intensive tasks that every print shop will have to face when selling online. It gets even worse if the printer prefers e-commerce platforms like Shopify or WooCommerce. Again, I mentioned them because they have become very popular among printers lately, but it's also true for pretty much any other e-commerce platform. Those platforms have many advantages, and they're excellent solutions, but they weren't designed for print providers in the first place, and struggle with products that might have up to several hundred variations. To fully manage such a catalog and update it promptly, it often becomes necessary to use third-party plugins, which might not come along well with each other. And if you add to this the need to attach different assets to product variants, such as templates or image galleries, it becomes an extremely complex system to manage. And we haven't even touched on the topic of complex pricing. Can you imagine if you add to this having multiple online sales channels to work with? In order to help our clients to simplify these tasks, this task, we even had to create a whole product information management module within Customers Canvas. It allows printers to maintain a large product catalog even inside e-commerce solutions that are not entirely suited for this purpose. So we simplify the task of creating complex product models, with multiple product variations, attaching assets like product pre-designed templates and also associate those templates to different product variations. We also connect products to one or perhaps many storefronts, including like different sales channels, like maybe online storefront, maybe some sort of social selling platforms, Etsy, and stuff like this. And we even can help automate the task of generating previews for different product variants and sending them to like e-commerce platforms to visualize the product variation, like for products with many possible options and values.
Thanks. Does anybody have anything else to add about digital product management when it comes to web to print?
Yeah, I've got something, Cassandra, actually. I was just going to say, I think sometimes it's worth sticking to what you're good at. Obviously, everybody on this call, we're all specialists in what we do, and we know our onions, so to speak. I think sometimes it's worth looking at what's the end goal. Well, the end goal is we want to keep the print shop with the presses rolling. We want to keep the dollars going into the bank account. And sometimes we know where we're good as web to print providers, but maybe it's the specialists that come further down the workflow that we should be talking to make sure that our customers, the printer, has everything right, everything in place, so that we don't just do a good job, but actually, and it then stops. Mm-hmm. It's working with the specialists that can make sure that the file, whether it's the order management, whether it's the MIS, whether it's the pre-flighting, whether the positioning, the finishing, whatever it is, I think it's worth looking at all of those aspects, because that really is also part of our responsibility to make sure that order, from the minute it hits the storefront, goes right the way back through to a shipped delivery. And you could even integrate with a shipping provider, and then you could have a complete turnkey lights out automation where actually the print shop doesn't even touch anything. It all works seamlessly. But what I'm basically saying is take a step back and look at the specialists that you can work with, and mm-hmm. allow them to help you by plugging in the back of your amazing web to print storefront.
Right. Okay.
Well, then, can I jump in on this one?
Yeah.
And we're talking about, completely in agreement with you there, Chris. And when you're talking about product management, across platforms, and I've had customers that have had 200 plus B2B portals along with their consumer base, because and kind of in our world, the where you really can make your money is you get that customer and you provide that portal, and now you've got that dedicated place for putting in. So you always go lowest common denominator. You take a business card, and that business card, you're going to do it. There's only so many ways you can do a business card with different types of paper, unless it's just something completely specialty. But you want to be able to take that and manage it across those different portals, those different platforms for those different customers. We've been talking design in a lot of ways here. So you have a templated design where, the employee marketing's already, laid out the design. Customer the employee just updates their name, but it's still a business card on a 130-pound double coated cover. So managing that in one place, but maybe updating the pricing based on who the customer is, maybe updating the design based on who the customer is, and not having to kind of do that across, multiple times. You get it all in one place, with a description, with a picture, with an updated, here's what it is. And we also have paper shortages. So being able to say, well, I'm out of 130-pound blazer, this week, I'm going to take that out and add in a different type of paper. Connecting to an MIS system, if that's what you're using, allows you to make those easy changes, so that, again, it's all about efficiency. It's making sure you can manage everything in one place.
Right.
And just on Trent's point there, actually, really good point there, Trent. MIS and updating everything in one area. If you're really clever and you want to get really into the intricate detail, with your integration with an MIS, you'd have live pricing coming back onto your storefront. Yeah. And then the print shop owners only updating it in one place. And I think the biggest one, which is something we should all be aware of, and is also a USP for the printer as well, is waste. We're living in a world now where we need to be sustainably friendly, and we need to be looking at, what are our ethics? What do we stand for? And I think if you've got an efficient workflow or an efficient automated system, that you can then monitor the waste as well. I mean, I think, was it 12 months ago we had a paper shortage?
Was it just 12 months ago?
Just 12 months ago. Just 12 months ago. But yeah, I think it's crazy. This is why I come back to this phrase, more than just web to print, because I think we can't just put our storefront up and get it live and get it online. You have to continue and understand the full 360.
Okay, ready to move on? While print providers would all love jobs to be perfectly print ready, that's rarely the case. Automating some of the pre-press process so jobs are automatically pre-flighted and adjusted is a reality for some. So Greg, can you talk more about the types of automation available through or by web to print providers today?
Sure. So automation is an enormous topic, right? So maybe what's helpful is just to kind of look through the whole job life cycle and maybe just hit some of the highlights. Otherwise, we could be here for hours, right? But
we've had many automation webinars.
Right. So, but I think, Cassandra, you specifically asked about. Did you specifically ask about pre-flight, or are you just asking in general?
That was the conduit. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So certainly, a lot of web to print platforms are able to do pre-flight, so they're able to look at common problems within print files. Is it the right size, right? So you're ordering a poster, but you uploaded a business card size file, right? Let's catch that right away. Or you're ordering business cards, but you uploaded a 3-page document. Let's catch that right away. So there's a lot of just really common problems that we want to trap immediately, and in a lot of cases, you want to notify the customer right away. And in some cases, you don't want to notify the customer. You actually want to get someone involved within your company. And ideally, you want to be able to configure that because you know your customer best, right? So you think about it. Let's say the customer uploads a file. You wanted a 300 DPI image in there. But guess what? One of the 17 images in there is 289 DPIs. Do you want to automatically reject that file and tell them it's not good enough? No, you don't want to do that. If it's really important, that you want to fix that, you would probably want to go back to them in person. Otherwise, they're going to get a message and they're just going to go somewhere else, right? So a really important part of pre-flight is being able to configure how you handle those exceptions. And being able to indicate whether we're going to just notify the customer or whether we're going to get a person involved. Related to pre-flight then is doing some automatic fixing. So there's an incredible number of things that tools are able to do, and we're able to do them quickly. Such as resizing pages, fixing bleeds, handling missing fonts. Some of the most common problems are readily addressable automatically. And I think that's really important because we can do that automatically. And, you think about one of the issues with files, having problems with customer send is, first of all, they need to wait until a person can look at them. And then it takes time for a person to look at them, and then a person who's looking at them may miss the problem, right? And you don't even address that till it gets. So it's really important to embed these tools right into your ordering process. You can get feedback either directly to your customer or to your staff so they can get back to the customer, fix them. Ideally, these tools are also associated with a real-time proofing tool so that any changes that you make to the tool can then be proofed real time by the customer.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to add there, or he did a pretty good?
I think he hit it.
Yeah, I think he makes some good points.
It's a can of worms, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. It's everything. I honestly think anything that has to do with workflow or web to print is a can of worms, and I try to narrow it down, but it always it's tough.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's a good conversation.
Yeah, I was going to say, Cassandra, it's all about trying to simplify it because tailor it. It all depends on the individual's configuration in their print shop. It all depends on what they're trying to achieve as a business. It all depends on where their pain points are. It all depends where they're looking to generate revenue. I think that's why we say it's a can of worms, because there's not one size fits all.
Right, that's so true. So next, we like to talk a lot about digitally printed packaging. So with the capability to produce cost-effective short runs, packaging buyers want to be able to easily customize and personalize packaging. So can today's web-to-print systems handle packaging, and maybe as a subset of that, labels? What features and functions are necessary, and what are the limitations? Chris, do you want to start us off on that one?
Yeah, sure. I think this is something that's quite dear to our hearts here at Figo, where we've started a bit of a journey 12 months ago. We went to a Label Expo in Chicago, probably one of the first major shows since COVID and everyone getting back to normal. And we were blown away by the labels market in the US and North America. And again, light packaging, really exciting place to be right now. But we also saw as well some trends, and by analysing a little bit of what was going on, we saw commercial printers dipping their toe into the label space, and we saw sort of label printers as well who had been probably slow to adopt and want to use web to print, all of a sudden realizing they now need to use it. And again, that was sped up by what happened with the pandemic. We've seen that a lot of the tools that we've already spoken about on this call, the pre-flighting, the processing, the integrations, they're a major part of the labels and the packaging space right now. And if you follow the same mindset, in my humble opinion, you're only going to be able to really enjoy some of that success, as you know, the different partners, the different specialists in those areas will bring you the knowledge that you need to plug into your web to print platform. But as I say, one of the things we're working with at the moment is with a B2B/B2C style approach. And we always say to customers as well, diversify if you can, because you know that's something that's really, really important. And that's something that all of us on this call have this ability to provide multiple revenue streams with our platform. So, yeah.
Does anybody want to add there about specific features and things that they should be looking for from a packaging perspective?
Well, I was going to hit on that in the next.
Your next question is.
I'm coming right into all that, but yeah, but
yeah.
I'll
Okay, yeah. So I'll jump into that one. So labels. We were just talking about labels, packaging, our growth area. So how can web to print be leveraged to grow label and packaging businesses for a print provider?
Well, and you look at it in two ways, and I'll go right along with Chris on a lot of this. And look at it kind of in two ways. It's those labels and packaging, you know, the very niche market printers that have always kind of been there that now need to kind of expand and get out there. And, you know, you start looking at that consumer-based look, or, you know, a private B2B look, or if you're talking about, you know, much like what a lot of us like to talk about in our worlds of, you know, what is the thing web to print is really good for? And that really is, you know, kind of expanding your offering set and reaching a new customer base. So, you know, whereas, you know, labels packaging traditionally, you know, up until recently been a very niche market. You didn't have a whole lot of people, only a few people that could really do it well. I mean, you saw it at the show. The technology, just like everything else, technology is starting to really catch up and really advance. So now more and more people are able to kind of step into that. And you can now kind of play with the big boys when it comes to, you know, in some cases, they're custom design sites that only offer this. So, you know, as we talk about the advance in technology, and Chris touched on it a little bit ago, we start talking about 3D previews, 3D, you know, renderings, you know, being able to not just see that box in a flat format that I put my design on, but okay, what does it look like folded up? How does the top open? You know, how is this going to look in the hands? I mean, we're all very visual people. Our consumers are very visual people. So, you know, in this segment, being able to kind of see the labels on a, you know, we've got a pouch and a bottle. Whatever you want to have in that bottle is completely up to you. But you know, on a bottle, you can see your label, how it's wrapped around in the bottle, and it gives that visual experience. So, you know, if you're going to your buyer, whether it's a consumer buyer that's looking for a short run, but still wants to kind of see how it looks, or it's that repeat corporate buyer that you may be doing this on demand for them in the, you know, tens of hundreds of thousands, however it is. You know, just seeing it all to be there is what you need. So the good web to print provider with the tools that let you expand that target segment, you don't necessarily have to do it. If you've got a trusted supplier, if you're connected into the big boys, the big trade players that can do this for you, you know, now we're back to talking about integration and being able to go and pull. But, you know, again, you can expand your segment, go in and offer. You may be in a part of the country or a part of the world where that's not necessarily, you don't have another player in that. Well, now you can offer it. And so you touched and expanded that market. And, I guess going back to all of that, it's simply, you're using this as a tool to show what else I can offer. And you're doing it in that modern customer experience that, again, you see every, what's come to expect in that, I hate to say it, Chris, the Amazon experience.
Turnkey solution. Just on that point though, Trent, I think the biggest thing we've seen is we're going from 1 times a million in terms of our runs on the presses to a million times 1 now, and actually it's our responsibility to provide a solution that can do 1 times a million and a million times 1 on 2 vertical tracks. And I think that just exactly what you just said there. That's the way that the public expect it.
Mm-hmm. Alex and Greg, do you have anything to add on that point? Or
I can just highlight that enabling custom packaging offering on your website, it's a very challenging task compared to a regular paper product, because there are so many you guys already mentioned, like 3D previews. Ideally, you want to enable your customers to navigate through the panels of the packaging to get the better idea of where is the top and where is the bottom. And it when we try to combine all of this with the dynamic models, generating on the fly, and pricing that comes dynamic pricing that comes with all of that, and if we talk about assembling all of this into the single processing workflow, it's a really complicated task that is not easy to implement by a printers that want to catch up with the online first companies, and when you consider this project, you have to really weight all the aspects of this integration, and it's not going to be an easy journey.
No,
I agree.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was pretty much all I had for my main questions. We did get a couple of inquiries in from the registrants. One of them was asking about e-commerce platforms and integration with things like WooCommerce, Shopify, and Magneto. Is it commonplace for Web2Print to now integrate with those kinds of solutions?
I would say yes. We've got a Shopify integration that, if you've got static products, however you want to do that. That's why we talk about order management. Mm-hmm. If you've got, a Shopify site that may be doing some engraved static products, things like that, you can still pull all that information, all those orders into and manage it all kind of in the back end and continue, again, create that efficiency. But they're commonplace. Shopify's huge. Magento's huge. A lot of people have developed their platforms on Magento. So yeah, I do think it's commonplace to see an integration of some kind into there.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that as well. We've seen our editor sometimes been, used within those sort of platforms as well. And I come back to it. It's whatever fits the solution for the customer that works for them. And I think that, again, that's our role at the end of the day, is to provide a solution to tailor their needs.
Yeah, like Chris, we see our eDoc Builder editor often integrated into these platforms.
Yeah.
And that's especially true for printers that are just entering the online space. And if you're the newcomer here, Shopify or WooCommerce is first place you Google, and then you have to have the integration with those platforms.
Okay, so I figured. And the next question, which I'm sure it's unique to every provider, of course, but what's the typical or general ROI that people can expect for a B2B Web2Print system? I knew you're just gonna say
You really threw that. I'd like to know who threw that one out. I think you're probably going to get 4 different answers.
Well, that's what I figured. But you know what? That's what we're here to talk about. So anybody want to?
You know, I think we can all point to that one customer that's making like, several thousand percentage ROI on our platform, right? But I think if you're not making I think at least 5 times, the ROI, I think you need to kind of take a step back and rethink about what you're doing. But I think there's so much opportunity for you to leverage a web to print platform.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one, Greg. I think those numbers are good. I think the other thing I see year in, year out, you have your customers that adopt the whole mindset from planning, implementation. They look at everything from marketing strategy, marketing budgets, who's going to be the product champion in-house. They look at integrations. They put a proper team behind the project. They invest a 4-year plan internally behind it. And then you see these guys at trade shows in the bar, and the orders are just coming in and they're doing nothing because they've put all that time and all that investment, right, and they're making the money. And they're going, hey, look, I've just sold 5,000 pouches or whatever, and I'm sipping my beer. And that's fantastic and that's great. But unfortunately, if you don't adopt or you don't invest that time in the whole thing, in the whole project, the whole 360, then those numbers are a lot lower. And I guess what I'm trying to say, Cassandra, is there is no set number. Yeah. It all depends on the individual and their approach to the project.
Well, and Greg's right. I mean, if you're just looking at, that's a good number, but yeah, if you're just looking at the hard cost of maybe the setup and implementation, and then here's the monthly, quarterly, annual subscription, and you're basing it all against that. To Chris's point, you're missing a lot of this because there's marketing there's still some marketing, there's still some sales, and then there's some just internal that has to go into it. How much time are you going to spend on it? Because if you build it, they will not come. just if you build it, they may not come, I should say.
Right. We did put together an Excel file which allowed you to kind of calculate your ROI, but it was really just based on automation savings. We didn't have to have an estimator involved, and so you save this much time because the customer could get real-time pricing, and you didn't have to have a CSR involved to enter pricing, right? And those are true cost savings. But I think what it doesn't capture is the opportunities that web to print creates, right? So Trent is absolutely right. It's not a magic print selling machine, but when used correctly, web to print is this tool that can create business opportunities for you that you would not have had otherwise. Mm-hmm. We have heard this story so many times, and I'm sure everyone else on this panel has heard these stories too, of printing companies getting contracts with customers they would have never dreamed of getting in the past because they had a solid web to print platform behind them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the most exciting aspects of web to print. That's the part that gets me most excited. That's honestly,
the message we want to put out there. You don't want to miss the opportunities.
So, mm-hmm. It depends on the area that you're using the web to print system as well. Are you wide format or large format? Are you packaging? Are you labels? Are you general commercial print? Are you just B2B? There's so many different sort of caveats to where they're using the system. But spot on, Greg. We're in a very exciting time to be a web to print providers, and that's immeasurable. I don't know if you guys saw it, but we found some customers during COVID that because they had endorsed web to print properly, all of a sudden they're selling masks and stuff, and it's like they're doing well, and everybody that hadn't adopted web to print is either buying it or going out of business, and it's as you say, it gives you that option, Greg and Trent and Alex, to diversify.
Well, let me ask this too, because this is something I think it's a trend that's we've kind of seen a little bit. And all 4 of us are, our companies are international. We have customers in other parts of the world, things like that. In the US, I think up to that COVID point, it's just that hard point of 20. Yeah. But, B2B was probably the main focus. You had these customers that got that big, the hospital, the corporate, that, you were able to customize and do everything. But I think post kind of pandemic, we're seeing a resurgence in consumer based in B2C. just because I think, and I do not want to say the name that starts with a V, just taboo. But, I think before that, everybody was like, oh, I can't compete with that. Oh, I can't compete with that. Well, now they're like, well, I'm not competing with that, but I'm serving my general public and population of people that want to find me, because now they're used to, they're used to buying things like this now, because we got to the pandemic and everybody started moving online.
Yeah. Yeah. And also I think as well, I hate to keep harping on about it, but part of the beauty of the labels and the packaging space is a lot of people, especially in North America, set up their own businesses during the pandemic. And there's a lot of small, we go back to the small runs again, a lot of small runs of sort of cosmetics, health food, pet food, coffees, these craft beer companies popping up everywhere, and they all need somewhere to sell their product. But guess what? And dare I say it, let's go CPD and marijuana as well. These guys all need personalization, and they all need a web to print storefront. And
they don't need 100. They don't need 100,000 pieces.
They don't. A million times one.
Yeah, I love that. I love that comment, because you're right. Because with you automate that capture, you automate that efficiency. Short run is not bad when you have 200 short run projects. That's no different.
As long as you don't touch it. As long as you don't touch it.
As long as you don't have to touch it. Yeah, as long as you don't have to do a lot of the touching. But still, I mean, that's and I think people have gotten out of this mindset of I need a million copies, put it on the shelf. I'll email you when I need 500 of them. Well, now it's outdated 3 months later, and you got to scrap it, start all over.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, and also I'd like to add that when we talk about the ROI of the new web to print project, the new integration, the new storefront, there are two additional factors that really affect the ROI. The first one is the time to market, is how much you will spend not selling things online, and the second is the budget. So you don't want to spend a few hundreds of thousands just to create a perfect solution that nobody will use. So you just maybe you might want to try with try small, and then gradually expand the offering. So that's what we start explaining to our new clients, is that maybe you want to start the phase one, start with the smaller product catalog, and then if you get traction, you'll see that customers really need it, and you can find them online, maybe in some paid promotions, and then we can easily do everything you want, just if you really understand that this project will make profit for you.
Alex, that's a fantastic approach. One of the things we always try and do is people will come to us and say, I want to build a B2C site. I want it to be consumer led. I've got all this marketing budget. And we say, okay, what we suggest is first, get your main bread and butter B2B customers, build them a platform, build them a storefront, learn the process, learn about web to print, learn about how to use the system. And then when you're up to speed and you are comfortable with that, then you move onto the B2C. What that also does as well is that keeps existing customers sticky as well. So they're now getting double value from their web to print storefront, because they're looking after existing customers. Those that don't necessarily need to be handheld or have a regular phone call, whatever. They can just be automated, and then they're ready to make the move to the next step. And a B2C site is a big deal if you're doing it properly. It's a big investment, both time, energy, and financially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all. You guys could talk about web to print all day, I know, and I really appreciate you.
Easy conversation.
Yeah, it's fun. But we do try to narrow it down every time. But it's always such a big topic, and it's all integrated. So. But anyway, thank you guys all for joining us. We'll have the October issue is out in a couple of days. I'm just going to put it up online by the end of the week, and it will be in mailboxes too. That has a feature article on this topic, and there's so many more topics on web to print up on our website that goes into everything you guys talked about. So hope everybody checks it out.
Come see us all. I know this. I don't want to date this webinar, but come see us all at Printing United.
Get in there, Trent.
We're all going to be there, and these are great conversations that can be had one-on-one.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
And we can show you live as well. We can give you
Yeah.
a demonstration of what we're talking about.
All right. Thank you, guys.